much for watching one more time. So today's adventure is going to take us to one of the probably one of the most popular yet not as accessible national parks we have in Costa Rica, and this is known as the Corcovado National Park. Probably the lighting is not as perfect because we are here about to start driving there. It's here 5 o'clock in the morning, so I always like to point out at driving distances and references. So for example, if you are going to do Corcovado National Park, there are approximately 3-4 different ways to do it. So today we're actually taking the challenge to go down there and do this in one full day. So we're basically located in Quepos or Manuel Antonio, which is one of the cities on the Central Pacific of Costa Rica, and from here we're gonna take our car and we're gonna drive all the way down approximately 3 hours, and then we're gonna take a boat for about 2 more hours, and then we're gonna get to this protected area, which is in the south part of the country, Pacific side of Costa Rica. All right, back to the lightning. So it is 5 o'clock in the morning, and as you might know, in the tropics, and Costa Rica is not the exception, so it normally gets the sun comes out at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's already getting clear, basically. Probably you can listen to birds and then also frogs in the background and insects. So this is basically this transition moment when animals that are active at night are going to sleep, and animals that are active in the daytime are basically waking up right now. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get back to you later with things to bring, things to do, access, pictures of the place, attractions. And again, this is not a tour on itself. This is basically a video that tries to give you or aims to give you tips on how to get to these protected areas countrywide. All right, thank you. I'm gonna keep drinking here my specialty coffee. Talk to you soon. So here we are on the highway, basically already. I mean, Costa Rica doesn't have necessarily large size roads, but then this is probably one of the nicest roads to drive through. From Quepos or Manuel Antonio, which is your station where you're going to be starting, you're going to be looking for a town down the coast known as Sierpe. So this is, I'll write that down in the comments, but Sierpe it's one of the locations, and from there we're going to take the boat. On the way here, I would like to point out a couple of things that you will see, especially if you're driving in the morning. You're going to see a lot of activity. A lot of people go to work. So between certain places in Costa Rica, like touristy towns, you really have a lot of agricultural practices going on. And one of those practices that we do have here on the Central Pacific specifically, it's African. You're gonna see rows of palm trees planted all the way down, like for miles and miles. So this is African palm oil for the production of cooking oils, cosmetics, body lotions, biodiesel and stuff like that. And therefore, you're gonna see a lot of activity, tractors, ox carts. You're gonna see people riding bikes on the side of the highway with very long aluminum sticks on their shoulders. That is a very typical picture here. This is actually a working tool that they do use to cut down the fruits from the palm trees, which you will very likely see if you're driving here in the morning, regardless of the day. You're gonna be crossing major size Central Pacific rivers as you're driving down here, like the Naranjo River, like the Savegri River, like the Dominical River. You're gonna have the Sierpe or Terraba, which is actually very close to our destination, and this is one of the largest rivers in Costa Rica, not only in Costa Rica but also here in the Central Pacific of the country. And there you have amazing mangrove estuaries and places like this. Key towns that you're gonna have on the way down here as well are going to be Matapalo, for example, about 15-20 minutes from Quepos. You're gonna go through Dominical, about 30 minutes from Quepos. It's a surfer town. You're gonna have Uvita. There's also a national park about hour and a half from Quepos. And then Palmar Norte, another town. There is a local airport next to that big river I was telling you about. And then there is Sierpe, which is our final destination. Okay, it's a coastal road. If you happen to be driving here with enough time, you can of course add, or if you're driving here the day before, you can always add a little stop to these places. There is one place, I will write that down as well, there is a beautiful beach known as Playa Ventanas, which is definitely, if you have the time and you're not on a rush, is definitely interesting to stop and look at. It's basically a little beach. It's a free beach, and then there is a rock in front of the ocean, and there is a cave that actually goes through the rock and meets the ocean on the other side. So basically, if you go there, you're gonna go, depending on how high or how low the tide is, you can get into that cave, and you're gonna have waves breaking in the middle of the cave, and it's pretty interesting. Besides waterfalls there's Dominicalito, there is Ubita, there is Pavon, so there's a series of waterfalls that you can actually easily access while you're driving here. Now, if you look at the road, you can see that this road, it's a pretty easy road to actually drive. Flat, accessible. I have been driving this road probably the last 15 years, and I've never really seen like traffic jams here. It's a pretty safe, it's a pretty reliable road, I would say. So we have arrived at Sierpe. We find ourselves here at the location. When you get to this place, after you have been driven, it took us, I mentioned 3 hours is more or less what you should definitely consider. Especially, in Costa Rica, timing is always a little bit different. So whenever they say 8 o'clock, it could be a little later. Normally not earlier, but I mean, today, for example, we're gonna take our boat from our station at 8 o'clock. So we got here by 7:30, and then when you get here at the harbor, like the place where you get into the boat, there is a restaurant. You can have breakfast, and then from there, if you have been driving here, there are parking lots where you can lock your car. You can leave your car over there parked. And this video is basically to tell you about what you should bring to this tour. Okay, number one, you want to bring, in terms of clothing, for example, you want to bring something that is comfortable, something that dries easily, because this is actually November. November is a pretty good part of the year when we're basically transiting from the rainy season into the dry season, but still there might be heavy rain. So that means light clothing. You want to bring long pants, it is necessary. So flip-flops, because while you're driving in the boat, you don't necessarily want to be wearing closed shoes. And very important to bring also a pair of either hiking shoes, good quality hiking shoes, waterproof, or what I am personally wearing today, which you will see later, are rubber boots, which also clean pretty easy and dry pretty easy. As far as other stuff that are important, you want to bring extra clothing, because during the trip there might be rain. Even if you're going by the boat, it's a little rainy, and then the rain comes inside and then you get wet. And then you want to bring extra shorts, you want to bring a towel, you want to bring your stuff in a dry bag. That is important, because while you're there, you don't really want to have anything getting wet, your wallet, all your stuff, you shouldn't risk all that stuff. Raincoat is important, or a poncho, but I do recommend raincoats because you sweat less in those, and they are also less obvious. I mean, if you're gonna be hiking through the jungle and you're wearing one of those green or white or blue ponchos, probably is not as convenient because animals might see you better. So then you want to bring something that matches or camouflages better in the forest, right? That's pretty much about it. You want to bring some snacks, some water, and as I have done or said in my other videos, certain things like weapons, like making fires, like surfing, like speakers and stuff like this is not allowed in the park. All right, so and then that's about it. As far as what you want to bring, it's a pretty easy hike when you get there, but you will see that in the coming videos. So here we are. This is the boarding station here. This is what it looks like. So there's a big river. This is the local restaurant I was telling you about. There's a dog laying on the ground.
Hi, perrito. Hi, perrito.
Not very happy dog. And then this is the gear I was telling you about. So we basically have the rubber boots, we have the dry bag, and we have the raincoats. All right, or rain jackets, other words. And we are ready to go. So this is how you get out of the boat when you get to one of the stations. There's no harbor or anything else. Basically, they back up with the boat towards the shore, and then you step out of the boat, as you can see. So this is where having shorts and extra clothing might be convenient, because if you get wet, then you can always, change if necessary. Gracias, Mike. So, here we are, officially at the San Pedrillo Station, Corcovado National Park, approaching the main station where we check in and start our hike. Just a side note, this is our local tour guide. Basically, traveling here by yourself is not something recommended or allowed either. You really have to come here with one of the official tour guides who actually have the knowledge not only about the wildlife but also about the access and the trails and how to get around and navigate the park a lot better. So this is our group today. So we're gonna be basically approaching that area. So this is where they drop us off. Then you come up here, and this is the station here, already officially within the limits of the national park. Station San Pedrillo. Beautiful place, beautiful day. So here we have the leaf-cutting ants. These are basically ants that live in the forest. Ooh, beautiful flower here. They live in the forest and they are always keen to go around the trees. Like for example, this rounded tree in the back, this is a Balsa tree, and they travel all the way up. It's probably pretty hard to recognize from here, but they go all the way up to the canopy and they cut the leaves with their sharp little teeth, and then they take those into a burrow they actually have on the ground, or a nest, where they ferment the leaves, and then they feed upon this fungus that happens out of the fermentation process of the leaves. Pretty well distributed, not only here in Corcovado, but also countrywide. You will see the very famous leaf cutting or leaf cutter ants. Very beautiful. They like to work on sunny days. Today the weather is ideal, so you can see them working already and cutting or carrying all the little pieces of leaves that they have already collected up on top of the ceiba, up on top of the balsa tree.
El negro de allá y el colaborador. Y el colorado aquí, si usted se va donde está él.
On this lovely tree we have a spider monkey, which is one of the least common species of monkeys we have in the country. Moving up there, extremely long legs, extremely long front and back extremities. The tail, which is prehensile, is also extremely long because they like to be extremely acrobatic. They're picking, or she, it's actually a female, so she's picking fruit from those branches. That is a ficus tree, which they do love to eat. They take the fruit as well as the leaves from those trees. There she goes. Beautiful.
Yo le dije hasta ayer en la noche. Una guatusa ahí corriendo.
So I just made a video of this animal right here crossing, where you have a much better view. But this is actually known as the Tamandua Anteater, probably one of the most difficult mammals to find in Costa Rica as you travel. They are not in danger of extinction or anything like that, but their habits in terms of where you find them, these happen to be on the ground, which they do visit as well, but they like to be more or most of the time up on trees. They like to be solitary. They like to be out really early in the morning or in the afternoon or even at night. Yet it is right now 11 o'clock in the morning, and we were lucky enough to actually find one of those. Oh, there you go. You can see there in the back. As I was just mentioning, if you pay attention right there, pretty hard to see, but he's actually going up on the tree already. So this is exactly what I was explaining. So it's a mammal that favors trees. The whole body, the tail, the legs, the claws they have, it's actually made for having arboreal habits, basically living up on the trees, finding their way to termite nests and ants and all that stuff that is available mostly up on the trees. Tamandua Anteater, beautiful. Here, hiding behind the leaves, we have probably one of the most elusive and one of the most beautiful birds that we have in Costa Rica. This is known as the Scarlet Macau. You can see green leaves, and there in between you see the body. You see something reddish moving around. The tree, it's an almond tree, which is one of the favorite meals or trees that grow down by the beach. Probably you can also hear the sounds of the waves breaking. That's because almond trees grow directly by the ocean, and those birds are commonly found here, also feeding from the trees. There he comes. There you can see his face, or her face. There is no sex dimorphism, so if that's a male or a female, you cannot really tell just by looking at it. So this is a bonus right here. We have another anteater hiking here. Here we have a Tamandua Anteater climbing up the tree, showing its skills. He has been on the ground drinking coconuts, and now basically decided to probably go to the top of that coconut tree to get some fresh coconut water. So here we have the coati mundi, or white-nosed coati. So one of the mammals available or to be found here in Corcovado National Park. Amazing. We also have monkeys above us. And there's a Swiss lady here looking at these animals. Ya se ha desviado. So amigos, thank you again for visiting today, for watching today. We are basically reaching the end of the tour. It's already 6-7 hours later, almost 3 p.m. So we made it. So we have actually a pretty good list of the species we saw. We saw 4 different type of monkeys. We saw anteaters, 2 different times climbing,
going up on the trees, eating on the ground. We saw birds, agoutis, toucans. We went to a river for a swim, beautiful place. We saw different beaches down the line as well. And of course, all the hiking and the group and the people. Everything was actually amazing. You can see more or less here the composition of the forest. This is more or less how it looks like. And then I'm gonna make another short clip at the end of this video when I get home and basically give you a couple of other recommendations that might be important. All right. Then thank you for watching, and I will catch up with you soon with a new national park. Oh, right here there is something else. Just to finish this, there is a tiger heron over there, right there, sitting. It's pretty hard to see, but again, this is a park, a national park full of surprises. Something that is super interesting when you come to Corcovado. So today we are at San Pedrillo station. There is a series of stations. It's this setting. So we have jungle and the animals right next to the beach. And you can see here, if you follow me, basically you come out of the bushes where all the animals are, and then you find places like this where you can see. I'll take the camera. Thank you. So here you go. You have the rest of the group here. Then beaches can be very rocky, but otherwise most of them are beautiful. There is the boats waiting for us to take us back, the main station back there, and we're pretty much ready to start the drive back. This is the end of the video that I have for you. I wanted to put together some notes and write down some of the name of the places, but I think I'll just do it this way. As you can see, it's already dark, so it was a long day for us. We left in the morning at about 5:30 from here, and we came back in the evening. So it's probably for some people might be challenging, but it's definitely do it. It's definitely worth it going down to Corcovado in one single day. So Corcovado has been actually sold as a park where you need to go several days to explore different stations, different places at its best, which I do agree. But if you have a limited amount of time and you don't really have the energy to stay there and book a different hotel and do all that stuff, so there is also an access, there is a way, to go there and do that thing in one day, as we did. We had a long day. We were sitting a fair amount of time. You are standing in certain places, you're eating, drinking. So basically, once you're already into the park, you're gonna be so busy looking at animals, looking at the wildlife, taking pictures, swimming, hiking on a rather easy terrain, which is doable to most of the people. But then, time goes by extremely quickly, and that's also, one of the beautiful things about this, all right? Also, that implies that driving there in the morning, what you will see happening on the road, what you will see happening through the rivers and the mangroves, because we also did a lot of mangrove. I mean, there is a way where you see a lot of mangrove estuaries. You see different habitats in the morning by getting there, by driving there, and then on the way back, you'll be exposed to a different scenario, maybe heavy rain, which makes the whole thing a lot more magical. All right, it depends on how much water, how much rain we're talking about, but rain in the middle of the jungle. Today the day was amazing, but I mean, a heavy rain in the middle of the jungle is very, well, first of all, intimidating, yet beautiful and imposing. And I really like that because that brings you to the present moment. Sometimes we're too preoccupied with different things going on. And I guess all these beautiful scenarios, like waterfalls, like rivers, like, I don't know, looking at a volcano, looking at a heavy rain, for example, as you cross the jungle like this. So it can bring you to the present moment, and it's an amazingly relaxing feeling to realize that you can see this, right? I wanted to write down some of the names on a side note, basically to let you know, but I think I'll just speak it out here. We went from Quepos or Manuel Antonio. This was today the starting point. We got to Matapalo from here. We got to Dominical. It's basically the road that goes from Quepos, Manuel Antonio, down to the south, towards the Panama border, to put it that way. We go through Matapalo, Dominical, Uvita, Palmar Norte, Sierpe, and from there we basically took the boat to go to San Pedrillo, which is the closest station that the national park offers on this side of the peninsula, the Osa. All right. So, and again, I did a summary in one of the last clips you saw previously. But I mean, in terms of how many species of animals we saw, in terms of the biodiversity, we're super happy. So you should have seen the group. Everybody was like talking about it, commenting about it, how many species in the same place. And this is what happens when you go to Corcovado. You go to this place, let's say, in terms of how far you walk and how heavy the terrain is, how difficult, it's very simple. But what happens is that biodiversity or animal density, and what you get to see there, is extremely high. I mean, everything is super abundant, vegetation-wise, animal-wise, flora and fauna, extremely abundant, and therefore 2, 3, 4, 5 hours hiking through the park, you might only cover a very short distance because you're so busy looking at animals, and it's amazing. I think these little things make Corcovado magical, all right? And so you should come check it out. This video is not aiming to give you a full tour. I guess this is just to warm you up a little bit. If you want to go there, you should definitely drop me a note. If you need some assistance, go to my website. We can hook you up with one of our travel agents and we can figure it out for you. If not, you got the description on how to get there on this video. Just go for it.